want me to do first?
Matt, you can do whatever you want first, but I should warn you, I just started recording.
Okay.
All
I'm
right,
ready.
folks, welcome to Practical Shooting After Dark. On deck today, we've got me, Ben, also Mr. Matt Hopkins. Say hello,
Hi,
Matt.
everybody.
And Mr. Jeff Chang
Hello, hello.
from, from the north. We have quite the stable of Canadian guests now, don't we?
It appears so.
All right, guys, you know the rules. Everybody comes on with a topic. You get to pick from three categories this week in shooting, where you talk about something going on in shooting this week. Trigger warning, where you talk about something that pisses you off, or show and tell, where you show a thing and describe it for people who listen to the audio rip, of course. And yeah, all right, so that's the deal. All right, who'd like to go first?
I can go first.
Oh, sign me up. All right, Hopkins.
All right, so I'm going to do show and tell.
Show and tell. You have, it appears
I
to be a
have
gun.
this. I have a gun. But it's not like any other gun. It's a
It
Shadow.
appears to me to be a Shadow 2.
It's a Shadow 2. But
It's
it's
got
a
orange
cadet
grips.
adapter.
It's what?
Yeah.
It's got orange grips.
Shadow 2
Yeah.
with orange. Is this a Shadow
Yeah.
2
There you go.
orange?
No, it is not. It's a Shadow 2 cadet adapter.
What the?
So it's a 22 adapter for the Shadow 2.
So you just buy the slide? And
Yeah,
the
it comes with the
magazines?
slide and 2 magazines, yeah. You dump it right onto your gun. Works perfectly.
It works perfectly.
Yeah, it works great. I actually had to up the recoil spring to the 15-pound mainspring, and it comes with 3 different weights of recoil spring, so you could tune it to whichever factory load you're using, light or heavy.
So you had to put in a new hammer spring to run it,
Yeah, yeah.
to run the 22 ammo. Okay, I had one of those kits. Well, not the cadet kit or whatever, but I had a couple conversion kits for my Beretta back in the day, and I thought that was interesting. It was fun. One of my big complaints with using a 22 conversion back when I was shooting one was the weight difference with the gun.
So they use an aluminum slide on these and a plastic front side block up here. The weight difference is going to be a little less, but not super big. One thing I like about
a
this
bit
is,
lighter when you draw it, right?
yeah, I haven't really messed around drawing these at all. I've just shot Steel Challenge with them.
Uh-huh.
But it has regular size magazines, so you can actually do reloads with them. It just has a different end on it.
Wow.
So you can actually do functional reloads with everything's the same. Base pads are all the same and all that, so that's why I like it. Holds 10+1, so.
So you got this for Steel Challenge or for training?
Yeah, I got this for Steel Challenge, yes.
Well, that is, how much are those?
I think it's 4 something US.
Not that this is a concern for you, but I mean for the
Well,
for the listeners, Matt.
I think they're around 449.
And are they pretty much only available from CZ USA Direct?
You can get them directly from us, and some distributors have them also in the custom shop.
And are there supply issues?
We have them. We're selling them right now. We might be out of stock currently.
Okay,
And we
that's
have
what I was
Max-
gonna say.
And
How
we
did
have
I
Max
know?
on the way.
I'm like, that's a pretty interesting boutique item, But then I'm thinking, there's no way you have enough of them.
No, we are currently out of stock. We have more coming in though.
Of
So
course you are. You'll sell your personal one, right?
how much money you got?
But not to me, just to some guy, like an autographed Matt Hopkins 22
Yeah,
upper for
I'll do
Shadow
that,
2.
yeah.
Are you
Definitely.
kidding me? Will you autograph it with a silver Sharpie?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll give you $300 for it.
not enough.
God damn it. You
Kind
never
of neat
did-
that it has that full-size magazine, though.
It
That's
is.
a
It's
first.
awesome. It's a plastic magazine, so it's weight different also. But using it for Steel Challenge only, I'm not practicing IPSC with it or nothing or USPSA.
I
It's
practiced
strictly a Steel Challenge gun.
IPSC with a 22 conversion kit. Well, I had 2 conversion kits for Berettas, and I practiced with it pretty hard for a couple years back in the dark days when I didn't reload. So I mean, I had all these rules. It was like, okay, I'm going to double the distance on everything, and I wasn't doing a bunch of multiple shots on one target. So I was basically shooting and moving, practicing that type of stuff, but on little plates, like 30 yards away, and it was pretty good practice. But then 22 ammunition got expensive, and I started reloading, so it sort of became meaningless. I think I still have some kits like that laying around.
I'm not sure it's super valuable for like USPSA practice, but Steel Challenger works great. You
No,
can use your same gun.
it's annoying to where you draw the gun and it's a different weight. You reload it, the
Yeah.
magazines feel different, so it's kind of annoying that way. But for like shooting and moving, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's
No, it's fun. It shoots super flat, dude. With that aluminum slide on it, it doesn't move at all.
oh, I know. It is at least fun.
It's fun, yeah.
Okay. Shall we move on, Mr. Jeffy? What do you got?
All right, so I have a trigger warning.
Something has triggered you. Ah,
Says,
my favorite.
so it's an old topic. It's nothing new, but it crept up in a recent match, and
And
it's
it made you
popper
angry.
calibration.
Popper
Oh, it did.
calibration. Well, what could be wrong with that? That doesn't make anybody else angry. That doesn't make people mad ever. Why would that be a problem?
Dude,
Jesus.
It's unbelievable that we're still stuck with the current rule set of having them do something that's no longer useful, and that's measure power. And really, that's the source of a lot of the issues, I think. And maybe that's something we can change.
I don't think it's anything any of us can change.
So what's the? We've all seen the problem, right? You shoot a popper, it doesn't fall down because it's not calibrated.
That's
Yeah.
not true.
What? We've all
Well,
seen it.
Well, we've all seen it, yes, but it's kind of like, well, Jeff, what happened at your recent match? Or I don't. Maybe you don't want to say, but
Well, I mean, you'd have poppers that wouldn't fall, and when the calibration gun comes out, then sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's hard to say, but there's really no consistency for anyone.
well, Matt, let me tell you something that this is maybe would tell you what the problem is. So I went to as you guys know me, I've been on training tour hardcore since October last year, where it's like I have not been home hardly at all. I'm always gone. We got to when I get home, I'm like, guys, we got to record 6 podcasts because I'm gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck. Okay. So I've been on training tour. I've been all over the world, to be honest, to different gun clubs. Here's an example of this. Like last week, I was at a club and saved me a lot of work because they just left their stages set up. You know what I mean? Like, so this is a club that has matches every week, and the stages just stayed set up. All the stages are up, right? So they didn't leave paper targets stapled up, but the walls are in place. The steel's where they left it for the last match. So I roll into the club, and it's like I'm happy because it saves me some work having to set up a stage, as I would like to do. You follow me so far, guys? All right. So I walk out. The bay that is convenient to me has a stage built on it that it's a long course. It is what I want. It looks. I'm like, okay, this will work as a stage. I walk around. Oh, there's already poppers out there. They're staked down. They were used in the match. And me, I make sure the poppers are okay for a class setting. So like, okay, check it. That still looks good. Walk over to one. The bolt that sets the calibration is twisted. So there's not really a way to effectively calibrate that particular piece of steel. And then there's I think 3 pieces of wood under one side of it to shim it so that it'll maybe work. And then I set it up and I'm like, this is like the popper's really heavy. I'm like, nope, this doesn't fucking work. Like, no way this is going to fall properly. And then the class shows up and they look at that and they're like, yep, that one wasn't falling for anybody during the match. And it's like, fuck. And I'm thinking like, of course it wasn't, because I look at it and it's fucked, this popper. But it's like the popper not falling for people during the match probably just, I don't even know what they like. Who would even do anything? Because if they shot it with a calibration gun or whatever they did and it fell over, then they're like, oh, I guess the steel's fine or something. And like that is like situation normal in a lot of places. Is that a fair way to describe the issue, Jeff?
Pretty
It's like,
much.
if I shoot that popper in a match and it doesn't fall, then it's like, well, okay, I guess we're going to calibrate it. But if you look at it, you're like, this is not, like, this piece of steel is not maintained. It's not appropriate. It's not going to work. There's no way that you're going to stake this thing down and have it work all day. It just, it isn't like that. And the rules
So-
allow for that as it sits now.
Do we get rid of poppers then?
Well, I mean, right now we treat them differently because it's meant to measure power. So if you
Sure.
take away that whole mindset and treat it as another steel target, treat it like a plate, right?
Oh yeah.
And
That makes sense.
range equipment failure is the ruling that if you get popper fucked, you would hope you get.
Yeah. No, I saw that. I mean, everybody sees this, no matter how many matches you shoot.
Not everybody sees it as a problem, Matt. A lot of people think that we're whiners.
Everybody sees calibration issues
They
or
don't see
steel
it. A
being
lot of
calibrated.
guys don't see it as a problem.
Dude, there was like one stage I shot, go up, hit all the poppers, one standing, call for calibration, win the calibration. Shoot it a second time, leave a different one standing up after I hit it, call for a calibration, won the calibration.
Oh my God,
On
You
two
did
different
that?
poppers. Yes, this year.
that's amazing.
Yeah. Can you believe it?
Actually, that the odds of that are pretty low.
Yeah. Especially with different poppers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A lot of our clubs here have gone to a two-piece popper design, so you have a base and the steel that's separate, and that makes it easier, right?
Those are better.
It's more
Those
consistent.
are just better. Yes.
Yeah. But I think the basis of the rules and the calibration rule itself is still problematic.
Yeah. The last time I was at your nationals, Jeff. Last time I had a popper calibration, and it was just like, it's like the most intensely frustrating situation to be in. You were there watching that.
Yep.
And it's like, center punch a popper, shoot this whole stage, and it's just like, get done with the stage. And I'm looking, of course, the popper's still up, black mark. I think it was perfectly in the center of the popper.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it was like, looked good. I just chronoed. My ammo is like 140 power factor because I'm shooting factory ammo. Like, I'm not scraping the power for it. It's like, the thing doesn't fall over, and I'm just like, it's like, God damn it. It's like, either I'm going to get a reshoot or finagle one somehow, or they're going to go shoot this thing, and it's like, maybe it falls, maybe it doesn't. That's pretty much where we're at here. It's like, God damn it. It's like the most frustrating thing in the world.
I mean, you definitely do have CROs and RMs go look at popper that you pull for calibration, look at the back, it's all mangled, and say, yeah, we're going to calibrate this. There's no problem here.
That's what I mean. That people's situation normal. Well,
Oh, so I have a calibration this year.
oh my God.
We're shooting at a level 1 match, but it was a bigger match. So they had a guy they pulled some random guy off the squad, said, here, calibrate this. So he turned into our calibration guy the whole match. So he didn't know the rules perfectly for calibration. So some dude hit it about 3 inches from the bottom, and called for calibration. So the guy running the stage said, shoot it in the center. That's all he told the guy. The dude shot it in the center, 3 inches from the bottom of the plate. So guaranteed reshoot. I'm like, that's the perfect way to calibrate. Because it's an automatic reshoot all the time. It was so funny, though. Those were both this year. Yeah.
Wow.
It is amazing that it seems like all the time, I've never had a year go by that I'm not, it's not the popper calibration doesn't bite me somehow. Or you're just like, God damn it. It's just like, and then a lot of people are like, yeah, this makes sense. And it's kind of like, think about it. You're like, no, this doesn't make sense. This seems weird. This seems not how it should be. But anyway, all right. What? You don't even sound triggered, Jeff. It just people just kind of looking at it, just shaking your head, and you're like, yeah.
So your proposal is just included like any other steel plate.
Why
If it
wouldn't
doesn't
we?
fall over, range equipment failure.
I think Matt, where I'd like us to get to, as a sport, as a community, is for at least everybody look at it and be like, yeah, this calibration thing is pretty stupid. Maybe they decide it's stupid and it's like, this is the best we can do. This makes the most sense. Which I'd say, okay. but at least get people to acknowledge that the current rule set's really stupid. It's weird. Oh God. That's what I'd like to see.
There's only so much we can do with the current rules.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. I have a show and tell, guys. For the audio listeners, I'm holding up a book. For the people looking at the screen, you can see I'm holding a book. It's called Top Dog. Have you guys heard about this book ever?
I have never heard of it. No.
Nope.
Oh, okay, so if you've, I don't know, for the type of people who are interested in books like with winning in mind, like they're like, oh, I'm gonna learn my mental game. I'm gonna learn about that.
Yeah.
This is not a shooting related book at all. It's a book about competition, and I guess you'd say it's a pop science book. That you know what I'm talking, Jeff. You're gonna know what I'm talking about, right? Is that what's a good way to define pop science? People who don't know what I'm talking about.
Life hacking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it is. I suppose scientific literature or based on scientific literature, but it's written so it's interesting to people. So it's not dry and boring. It is an interesting book. Things like what makes people excel in competition, what sort of challenge, like how much challenge people get to drive them. Like okay, here's a good example. So if we have if Matt and I train together, like I'm at the right level that I'm going to push Matt to be better, But if I were twice as good as I am now, I would more likely that the other guys shooting with me would be discouraged. You know what I mean? Whereas if Matt were at the same level as me or maybe slightly better, like Matt wouldn't get pushed to get better. So the way people compete with each other, things like home field advantage, like shooting at your home range, statistically speaking, you are going to shoot a lot better than if you shoot at someone else's range. Right. So there's stuff in here. There's bits in this book that you could pull out that are actionable, like how to make yourself feel comfortable in a different competitive environment, things like that. But that actual scientific literature about what makes people perform better under competitive stress, and really fascinating stuff about sort of chemical tests done on people. So if you end up buying this book and reading it, there's pretty interesting stuff that if you're a competitive shooter, a lot of it's going to hit home to you. You know what I mean? Like how, the types of stress that people feel when they go to major matches. Like there's been chemical tests done on people when they're under that sort of competitive stress, and the chemical changes in your body are real. So when you just start looking at it, how you feel in competition, if you are a competitive shooter, you're going to read this and be like, yeah, that makes sense to me. I've experienced that. I feel that. And there's some stuff in the book that's actionable and interesting. So I don't know.
How old is the book?
2013, I think. Let me check.
That's good because a lot of the stuff is older. I kind of like the newer stuff.
Yeah,
because winning in mind is like over 10 or 20 years old.
Yeah, and it's like I didn't get a lot out of it personally because it's not, it's not the sort of. I guess it's actionable, but it's not really stuff that I care about that much. I don't know. This book speaks to me a lot more than With Winning in Mind, but it's a totally different approach. It's not giving you an action plan. It's describing how people behave under competitive stress. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And is it generalized towards athletes, or is it?
No, any sort of competition. Any sort of competition. Even scientific studies done where it's like, hey, if you're going to go negotiate for a pay raise,
right.
It like the outcome difference between doing it in your boss's office and doing it in a conference room and doing it in your office. You see what I mean? So
yep.
Like different things, like different sort of environments and how they change people's behavior. You know what I mean? Like for competitive shooting, I think most of us would acknowledge like that home field advantage is real, but a lot of guys don't like to acknowledge that. You know what I mean? They would say like, hey, that's not a real thing, but it absolutely is. in all sorts of competition. I'm certain of it in competitive shooting as well. And then, you kind of think about how you're going to feel more comfortable, shoot more like yourself in matches. Yeah.
That
Go
doesn't
ahead.
surprise me at all. Home
No, it
field
doesn't
advantage.
surprise. But how many guys, like, if I walk up to a guy's like, no, home field advantage is real. Then some guy, let's say you're the match director at your match, you're like, well, I had to set up all these stages and I'm all tired. It's not a real thing.
That's a
You'd be
bullshit
like,
excuse.
well, I'm not trying to make them excuses. Just say, like, hold on, like the scientific literature is pretty clear on this. Like, you shoot better at your own range. Like, I understand that you're tired or whatever. I'm not like trying. If you try to like people who, if they feel personally attacked or something, or they feel like you're shitting on them, then they don't want to hear it. But like for us, like, we have to travel and shoot, so it's more for us. It's more about like, hey, you want to feel more at home at somebody else's range, so you can do your best. So turning up the day before, walking around, getting really comfortable with the layout of the stages. Like,
watching videos so you know what it looks like,
yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
there's lots of evidence that that's going to help you perform better. Okay.
Oh, makes sense.
Lots of evidence. So these are things that you want to pay attention to, and if you're serious about competition, Top Dog is an interesting read, I think. Anything else to say about it, guys?
No.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some questions. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Amazing. All right. While shooting your pairs drill, a recent class of yours in Pennsylvania, you told me that I needed to grip with my support hand a lot more than I was. You also said when I did that, I was over gripping with my firing hand. I've been working on this, but I find that sympathetic relationship between the two hands is harder to overcome than I thought. Is there any specific techniques to overcome this obstacle, or just stop being a knuckle dragger and keep at it? Okay, so I guess the specifics of what drill he was doing doesn't really matter, but I'll say this. It is very difficult for people to separate different actions. It's a way that people are wired. So for example, guys, if somebody's shooting like a couple position drill and I say, hey, I want you to run faster, it is frequently the case that that person will not only run faster, but they'll do everything faster. They're going to shoot faster, run faster. It might do some shooting errors. If I say grip harder with this hand, they tend to grip harder with both hands. If you say relax, people relax their whole bodies, not just a certain part of their body. You guys follow me so far?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's all normal. That's the way people behave. And the solution is you have to isolate the thing you're working on. So this guy's doing the right drill. If you want to change something about your grip, you need to do drills thinking, like actively engaging your brain, thinking about just that thing for a couple weeks on end. Right? Jeff, when's the last time you changed up your grip or something like that? Some shooting fundamental. Do you remember?
It's been over a year for sure.
Yeah, and it was a couple week process of dry fire daily and active engagement of your brain. And I think the big thing for people is that it has to be done over time. Like if you've been shooting a certain way for a few years and you're going to change something, you need to isolate the thing you want to change, get your brain involved, think about it religiously, for a week or two of daily training until you're doing it and not having to be engaged with it anymore, and then it'll be changed. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a process. It's not a thing that it's going to be easy to change. And in the case of like, hey, I want to grip harder with this hand and not this hand, that will also take some retraining. For me, I'm thinking like if the gun's not behaving itself for me, I want to try and get that support from my support hand and really crush with my support hand more if I don't like the way the gun's behaving. And it took a couple weeks to get my brain wired that way. Yeah.
I think this particular issue isn't a dry fire only issue. So he can do all he wants in dry fire, but it does need some live fire to confirm what's actually happening.
He's doing a live fire drill, but yes, he needs a lot of live fire with it as well. Because especially the gun's recoiling in your hand, and you want to like mash down on it with your firing hand too. When he's trying to train himself out of that. Okay. Question. If I want to get into carry optics, this is probably a question for you then, Matt. If I want to get into carry optics and I want to transfer my current gun handling skills as much as I can, I shoot a stock 2 right now. Would you say the plastic Witness P feels just like the stock 2, holster, grips, etc., or should I put a red dot on a stock 2? I think there are some weight issues with the stock 2 plus a red dot. Okay, maybe it's more of a question for me. Oh, hey, here's a by the way here. By the way, I made GM a couple months ago after following your advice to warm up and dry fire before classifier stages. Those really helped. I shot all 95% above in an all classifier match. Holy shit. Just like I could do in practice, I will start doing warm-ups before regular stages too. I think it's generally a great idea. Thanks again. Okay, that's enough holding me up. Anyway, Matt, if you guys shooting a stock 2, what would you say to do for carry optics? I can answer his question on the polymer match if you want.
Get a stock 2 and just put a red dot on it. Cut it till it makes weight.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. If that's what he's shooting.
Yeah, I would say the same. I have a Witness, the polymer guns. It'll make a future show and tell, I'm sure. But it's the same. It's not the same grips. It takes a different kind. It's not the same holster. It's the same magazines, and the gun feels slightly different. It's a little thicker at the top. So if you want the gun to feel exactly the same way, the polymer Witness is not the way to go. Yeah. All right. What do you think, guys? Enough questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is enough questions.
What do you think?
I think it was another bang-up show. That's what the fuck I think. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on, Matt and Jeff. Everybody appreciates it. Listeners, if you have a question you'd like the answer to, or something you want to hear Hopkins rage about, go to benstegger.com, send me your question. I'd love to hear from you. As always, that's it, man.